Kia ora koutou, I'm Liam.
And I'm Emma. Thanks for joining us for a catch-up on the great news of a new initiative that's grown out of the IES battle of 2014.
Yes, for those of you who missed the announcement in the end-of-year wash-up, there's a new landscape for a new year. In a major shift, the Ministry of Education has agreed on a new joint initiative with NZI Te Reo Roa, a better plan that we'll all need to be involved in if we're to build positive change in our schools and our centres.
Before we explain the new initiative, let's recap briefly on how we got here. If you're anything like me, 2014 is already a distant memory, but you'll no doubt recall that around this time a year ago, the Prime Minister made a surprise announcement of the IES to a business forum.
We want the best teachers and principals to lead a step change in achievement, and we're going to pay them more to get it.
Around the country, we responded with conversations, attempting to understand what the new roles announced by the PM would mean for our students and our profession. We were deeply concerned by a plan that would siphon millions of dollars out of classrooms and into the pockets of a new class of managers.
We were concerned about the disruptive and controlling potential of the plan. Presented as a model of collaboration, the IES seemed a top-down system that threatened to straitjacket schools and narrow their focus.
We were alarmed that the biggest change to schooling in 25 years ignored a crisis in special needs education, sidelined early childhood education, and failed to address concerns of an army of support staff working in the sector. We took our concerns into the working parties that the government set up to build the IES frameworks, but when the final report was signed off by Cabinet, it was clear that our concerns had not been heard.
93% of us voted no confidence in the IES in October 2014, endorsing instead our own better plan for education. In that plan, we called for smaller class sizes to ensure individualised learning, 100% qualified and registered teachers in early childhood education, better funding for children with special needs to support 20,000 more kids, sustainable funding for support staff so teachers can focus on teaching and learning, and support for initiatives that make a real difference for Māori and Pacifica students.
The vote was an emphatic rejection of government reform, and despite a determined campaign by the Ministry in the months that followed, teachers and principals remained firm. Just 71 schools or groups of schools had expressed an interest in the IES clusters by December last year.
This was from a possible 2,500 schools. Something had to give.
At the end of this presentation, we're going to be asking for your help to build a vision for the future. First though, just as we've recapped, we want you to take a couple of minutes to recall how your worksite responded to the IES. If you're an early childhood site not directly involved, you might consider how you viewed the whole issue.
Welcome back. I'm sure that brief chat has revived memories of some strenuous debate from 2014.
As we said before the break, that ongoing disquiet meant that by December, something had to give.
Simply put, the IES is now unworkable in all but a few isolated parts of the schooling system, because educators don't want a bar of it. That's why, in the dying weeks of 2014, the Ministry of Education and NZI Te Reo Roa agreed to disagree over the IES and begin a new work stream that would focus on areas we could agree upon. Over several sessions, Ministry officials and our leadership met to thrash out the basis for a new initiative. We went into those discussions armed with our better plan and a desire to talk about collaboration, transition and career pathways. All three of these important professional issues had been part of the IES but had been poorly served by it. For us, collaboration across schools and sectors had to have the rich New Zealand curricula as the engine for success, not a narrow focus on achievement data in the form of national standards and NCEA. Models of transition had to place the needs of children at the centre, from early childhood and throughout schooling. It had to include our most vulnerable children, recognising and valuing the diversity of learning pathways and the differing focuses of teaching and learning at different ages, stages of learning development and different contexts, rather than seeing schooling as a pipeline. And when we discussed career pathways, we took a view that role development needed to be across the entire learning environment and genuinely strengthen teaching and learning rather than focus on a managerial elite. We also pushed for a renewed focus on Māori success, something the IES did not specifically address, but which was a key part in our Better Plan.
The new initiative agreement, signed off by the Ministry and NZEI in the final weeks of 2014, reflects the quality of our arguments. It places collaboration, transition, career pathways and Māori success at its centre. The agreement also demonstrates the determination of our membership that any change process be open, transparent and inclusive.
One of the most forceful criticisms of the IES was that its planning was secretive and that it attempted to impose change without engaging with the real experts, those of us who work with children. Early childhood, special education and support staff weren't even mentioned in the IES documentation.
This Better Plan involves the whole workforce. It's open and it's consultative, and it's vital for the success of the plan that you and your colleagues engage in the discussion and feedback that will take place over the rest of Term 1.
Even before we explain the details of the new initiative, you can see there's been considerable change in the landscape from the time when the IES was the only game in town.
There's been a bit of a debate about why things have changed since then. How about you pause the presentation for a moment to address that? Why have we reached the point where we have a new plan for the future? The new initiative establishes working parties involving NZEI members. These will focus on effective models of collaboration, transition and success for Māori learners. Sustainable career pathways and resourcing to support these models will then be developed.
The Career Pathways work will build on that already done with the Ministry. The aim is to further develop pathways for leaders, teachers and support staff that grow from the needs of our students and the New Zealand curriculum. It's a very different approach to that of the IES, which imposes a hierarchy of short-term roles focused on achievement data.
The collaboration work will also take a fresh look. It won't be about top-down, one-size-fits-all collaboration, but flexible models that work, demonstrated by sound evidence. These collaborations might be in primary, early childhood, or across the sectors, and will often involve provision for learners with special needs. Working party members will also be interested in the role of support staff in these collaborations. How can they be resourced to build child-focused collaborations?
All over the country, there are hundreds of examples of collaboration already at work. In the final part of 2014, we documented the work of a few highly successful collaborations.
We saw how a cluster in South Auckland is working to improve the engagement of Pacifica communities and grow expertise among teachers and support staff who work with Pacifica children.
We observed teachers sharing skills and experience across schools to foster art and sustainable living. And we saw how a group of low decile schools are collaborating to build capacity so that the children can engage in the e-learning revolution.
It's a huge number.
We learned how a rural cluster is building stronger links with its community and finding ways to grow student agency.
Shape.
Each of these collaborations is different, reflecting local need, but they have a lot in common as well. They focus on the particular needs of local children and empower and upskill those who work with them. They have distributed leadership and they build trust between colleagues. Yet each collaboration has unmet resourcing needs.
Some of the collaborations we saw had a strong focus on transition, a second focus for the working parties. Again, they will be seeking out success stories from around the country. We know there are great things happening, such as this case, where technology is being used to help break down barriers and build seamless transition for children from early childhood to school.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
When do you start school?
After Christmas. After Christmas. Or maybe before.
We know schools are sharing facilities and expertise and aligning data systems to help both students and teachers. We know too that throughout the country, work is being done to assist children with special needs, their families and teachers as the children transition from one learning environment to another.
No doubt many of you are aware of great initiatives to improve transition that are happening in your own area, and shortly we'll be asking you to reflect on that. You may also have insights into initiatives promoting Māori success. The Working Party on Māori Success will be looking across the system. In kohanga, kura and in the mainstream, it will be seeking out best practice that builds collaboration, engages whānau and community, fosters smooth transition and builds achievement for tamariki.
As you can see, the new initiative provides an opportunity to build a new landscape and a better plan for our children and our profession. There's no doubt that our engagement and determination around the IES played a big part in winning us this chance. Now we all need to keep that momentum going by being involved in the dialogue.
So, what's happening in your patch? What effective collaborations are happening in your area, on a large or small scale? And what are the key things that make them work?
What examples of quality transition are you aware of? And what resourcing or roles might improve both transition and collaboration? What practices are leading to success for tamariki Māori? And how can these successes be shared?
We're asking you to take some time now to share your ideas and experiences with your colleagues. We then want you to pass your ideas on to us, initially by answering the online survey.
Over the following weeks, as the conversation unfolds, there will be more information to engage with. Watch for new material on the website, which already has the background documents and videos around collaboration and transition. You'll find them informative and inspiring.
For now though, you've got some questions to discuss. We achieved great things in 2014. Let's build on the momentum this year.
We're looking forward to hearing from you. Ka kite.